I was opening up a gym, would I have all of my new members or participants sign a waiver? Absolutely. And even though I would be very careful, as a manager to make sure, I have all my risk management strategies in place, all my employees would be very well trained and educated. I'd be following the law and everything as best I could. However, sometimes, people sue you. Okay.
Yep.
And sometimes you go, well, wait a minute. That injury was not due to our negligence. Okay. It was due to maybe your negligence or your misuse of the equipment or, whatever it might be. Or it was just an inherent risk. You fell. Okay. And you fractured your ankle, and it wasn't due to any negligence on anybody's part. But one of the fastest ways to then to deal with that lawsuit is, tell the court, they signed a waiver, so even if it is negligence, let's drop the case, dismiss the case, and the court would look at that and most likely dismiss the case. And so that's one of the reasons I would probably have them sign the waiver, as well as, you never know when somebody could be negligent. Any one of your employees, anytime, could be negligent and cause an injury. And so you don't want that to happen, but it can, because everybody's human and humans make mistakes. And so, for several reasons, I would, definitely have a waiver, and a waiver that was well written and prepared by a competent lawyer.
And I love by the examples that you've given us already. And by the way, again, her book has 110 different cases. So, and just because, again, I love stories, that's how it sticks out. I learn, I never forget it when somebody tells me a good story. Was there any other lawsuits that really sticks out to you that where someone found themselves in trouble that, could have been prevented?
Yeah, well, I would say every case in the book, that all of those situations could have been really prevented. Good risk management and creating a safety culture. I like to think of it as creating a safety culture within your facility. But let me just give you an example of one case, and this kind of gets into our chapter on exercise prescription and scope of practice. This was a trainer. He had a client who had osteoporosis. He knew that she had osteoporosis. And so one day during a training session, he had her do jumping repetitions on a bozo ball. And she fell and fractured her ankle. And so she sued. Okay, she sued the trainer and the facility. And again, what the court looked at was, okay, did this particular trainer design and deliver an exercise program appropriately for this individual with osteoporosis? So the court looked at the type of participants. So in this case, this was a woman with osteoporosis, and the nature of the activity. So these are two things that courts will look at in determining negligence. And so the nature of the activity, jumping on a bozo ball, very risky, people can fall. And knowing that this person had osteoporosis, the trainer should have known that a fall with somebody with osteoporosis could lead to a fracture, a very serious injury. And so in this particular case, it would probably been best from a scope of practice perspective that this trainer probably should have referred this client to an exercise professional that had some knowledge and skill on how to design and deliver a program for a person with osteoporosis. And of course, nowadays we have so many Americans with all different types of chronic illnesses. And, so the exercise professionals, the fitness instructors and trainers and so on, they really need to understand what precautions they need to take given the individual's health history and their fitness status. And so that's really important from a scope of practice perspective and exercise prescription perspective. Let me give you another case. Obviously, when an injury does occur, you want to make sure you have an emergency action plan in place. And so that we have several examples of facilities that had failed to have a proper emergency action plan in place. Primarily, if they had a plan, it didn't work. Like the staff didn't know how to carry out the plan. So like, let's say, for example, there's been some cases where a participant has had, a sudden cardiac arrest. And to save that person's life, you need to use an AED. And there are several states now that require fitness facilities, health clubs to have an AED. Yeah. And the requirements within these AED statutes really vary from state to state. And so, again, that would be another area that would be really important for managers, to consult with their legal counsel. What are those AED statutes that might apply in our state, and what do we need to do? We need to have an AED. Are there training requirements? Do you need to, a lot of times these AED statutes require regular inspections and maintenance of the AEDs. There was a case, I believe it was in New York, where the fitness facility had 2 AEDs and neither one of them were operable, and the person died. And so that lawsuit was a very interesting lawsuit because the court said, yeah, you needed to have an operable AED based on state statute. Okay. So, those are just, again, a couple examples. And that's why it's so fun for me to read these cases, these negligence cases, because you learn so much from them. Like you said, Anthony, it's like a story.
Yeah.
In a way. What happened?
That's exactly what happened. I want to hear more. So buy your book. It'll be in the link in the description.